Hey, what's up, guys? Christopher Stolle back for another What's in My Head. I just got done doing a Breaking the Fourth Wall with Dale Nealhouse, and it was a great interview. I want to thank him again for joining me, as well as my co-host Kim from One Non-Blonde podcast, coming soon to Realm of the Mist Entertainment. You guys will definitely want to check that out. But we are here for another What's in My Head, which means it's another audio and video diary blog of my day during the lockdown. And quite honestly, what's going through my head right now was a conversation actually from the Breaking the Fourth Wall interview, where we were discussing books, and more specifically books that I haven't even thought about since I was younger, in my early teens, mid-teens, even 20s. We were discussing the Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms series, Dungeons and Dragons style fantasy, medieval fantasy books. And man, it made me think about the fact that not only would I want a live action of these books on film, which I think would be phenomenal, but I think it's a genre that really hasn't been touched that much, especially Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, there have been D&D movies, in the sense of like Dungeons and Dragons and Wrath of the Dragon God and the like. And of course, there's things that are obviously based off of Dungeons and Dragons in some way, shape, or form, like Lord of the Rings. Although I know Dungeons and Dragons is based off of Lord of the Rings, the book, but I mean the films. And Dragonheart, you can argue the point. Hell, you could even argue Game of Thrones. But in reality, something that's really Dungeons and Dragons, like follows the rules and lore of that genre and world. Not only is it a lost art book-wise, I don't think there's really been a Dungeons and Dragons book series, new book series. I think Forgotten Realms is still going on, but I mean, for the most part, it's a lost art, and especially with the rise of Dungeons and Dragons as of late, the game, there's online plays and through programs like Roll20 and the like that it has really enjoyed a resurgence in the world. I think it is definitely time for film to finally catch up to it and create a good Dungeons and Dragons film, whether it's Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, or hell, just take an existing story and make it a film, like the Curse of Strahd story arc, or things of that nature. The thing is that the Dungeons and Dragons game world and the game lore is so vast, and it's been around forever. I mean, it's it's older than Star Wars. I'd say it's about as old as Star Trek, and the amass different lores and stories that you could tell just from it, and the diverse amounts of characters and personalities that come from the types of characters that there are. I definitely see like a film franchise, or maybe even a TV series or streaming series, that could, if put in the right hands, I think could be absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, I would love to see a live action Dragonlance do the trilogy right, the Chronicles trilogy, Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, Dragons of Spring Dawning. I think that story would be phenomenal. I've argued forever that we should definitely do the Icewind Dale trilogy of Forgotten Realms, where we could have a lead person of color playing Drizzt Do'Urden, the Drow Elf Ranger. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, again, we could just do Neverwinter, or Baldur's Gate, or something of that nature as well, and really flesh out brand new characters, brand new roles, but do it the right way, not the way they did with the Dungeons and Dragons movie they did back in the early 2000s, I want to say, with Jeremy Irons and Marlon Wayans, and I don't even remember the main character's name. They were okay, but they weren't great. The story of Ishmir and aristocratic mages, and it just they did. You could tell they didn't take it seriously. They didn't think it would be something that would catch on. They didn't take it seriously, and it reflected in the film. And of course, Dragonlance did have the Dragons of Autumn Twilight cartoon movie, which I didn't think it was that terrible, but again, it wasn't given the justice that it deserved, and because of which I think that failed the series. I know they probably intended for having at least the other two books done, but I don't think it did justice to the story. And that I guess that's what's in my head right now. Is I'd love to see these things become not only film, whether it be TV or feature film, but done correctly, done with the love and attention to detail that you would expect from sitting down with your friends at an actual D&D campaign. But at the same time, have the majesty and epicness of a Game of Thrones, of a Lord of the Rings, on celluloid, on film, on digital, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. That's just what I've been thinking about right now, and especially with Star Wars taking its hiatus, and there's no Lord of the Rings, no Harry Potters, nothing like that coming. Nothing that's really screaming the 120,000%. Lost my train of thought here. 120,000% epic summer blockbuster coming. I think it's time to start thinking about putting together that type of show. But what do you guys think? Of course, I want to know how you guys feel about this. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out all the other great podcasts, including Breaking the Fourth Wall number 107, the Dale Nealhouse interview. And, of course, go over to our sister channel, Sounds Dicey Gaming, for all your video game and Dungeons & Dragons style tabletop gaming experiences. And if you prefer your podcast in audio format, you can always just look up Realm of the Mist Entertainment on Apple iTunes, Anchor.fm, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever quality podcasts can be heard. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another What's in My Head. Have